So I started getting focused. I started doing this video, a video about Sarah Silverman and Hollywood. And I know this is going to sound hard to believe, but I said some politically incorrect things that were too base to put on YouTube. Shocking, I know. I got further and further making the video. I realized, oh, I'm kind of saying some hot words that I shouldn't be saying. And then finally, at the end of the video, I realized, oh, yeah, I just went full steam into Second Amendment militias and fighting tyrannical government and that kind of stuff. And so I cannot put that on YouTube. I will put that on Odysee and Bit Chute. YouTube is so friggin' lame these days. Anyway, I remember being a kid. You probably remember being a kid too if you had a girlfriend. And the thing is, they would always say stuff like, you guys are so stupid. You're just listening to some chick because she's skinny with a nice rack. Like, that's the only reason you're paying her attention. She's not that funny. And they were telling me this, a long time ago. Like, some chick's not that funny. She's just in a short skirt with a rockin' body. It's like the things she's saying are just, milquetoast mundane, or maybe outright stupid or outright not funny. It's like, she's skinny in a short skirt or a tight dress. That's why you're listening to her. Thing is, to my credit, when I was 20, I got that. I understood that. But being older, I understand it in a different way. When you can listen to things without constantly, Jimmy, you're thinking with your dick. That's your dick talking. When you get away from that, as you get over like 30, you view the world in a different way. And you kind of go down the rabbit hole too a little bit, or thanks to social media, thanks to Gab. If you want to go down the rabbit hole, holy cow, go to my Gab, follow the people I follow. In 6 months, there'll be no acid detected. Anyway, so these chicks are saying like, you guys are so stupid. Like 20-year-old guys. It's like, I get that in a way now, 20-year-old guys. My point is with this is like, well, why did Sarah Silverman and Chelsea Handler, go so far? Well, they had the right connections, to be fair, and they are talented, but not that talented. They were skinny, or she's looking a little chubbier in this. Back in the day, 20 years ago, they were both really skinny with really big natural jugs. That's 90%. And they are talented. They can remember their lines. They can deliver their lines. And Chelsea Handler was much more talented than Sarah Silverman, but they weren't that talented. This is why they went so far. And this is her probably in her 40s, and she still looks pretty rocking. And when she was in her 20s, she looked a lot better. So Sarah Silverman decided she needed some attention, and she got on Twitter and she said some stupid things. She says a lot of stupid things. I read her book, and I read all of Chelsea Handler's books. She wrote like 5 books. They're really funny. Chelsea Handler's funny. Her books are funny. Sarah Silverman's is not. She's more like a dark tragedy. She's got serious issues. She openly talks in her book about how she feels about white people and Christians, and she's got some serious hardcore issues. And it's like the self-awareness when she wrote that book. It's bizarre that she would write these things and not think that people are paying attention to the very things she's put in print. She's not shy about it. Like, she's got serious issues. The thing is, the issues are of her own creation. There's more on that, and there's more interviews you can talk about, but you will not learn these things from a Jedi. You will not learn these things on YouTube. Odysee and Bit Chute is a place for a lot of real conversations. Anyway, Sarah Silverman wanted some attention. Some preacher was talking about what a hateful person she is, and she is. She really, really is. And you see that when you're, Jimmy, not thinking with your dick anymore, when you get a little bit older. And she wants some attention. So she retweeted the preacher and said, "This guy's going to get me deleted. You don't have any kids. You're not married. I'm not advocating anything, but, no loss, really. You're retired from Hollywood. It's, Anyway, so Sarah Silverman wasn't that funny. She was skinny and she had a nice rack, which, same with Chelsea Handler and same with most people who are going to be successful in Hollywood. You got to be easy on the eyes. If you, I remember going out to dinner with a bunch of Hollywood types, and my buddy and I were not Hollywood types. We're eating, and these people had food on their plate, and they drank, and they pushed the food around their plate. I went out to dinner with another chick who was like a model, and I saw like, oh, this is why you're a model, because I'm eating, and you're pushing food around your plate. She ate some of it, but it's like it really does, that whole concept of like when they eat for TV, and you notice they're eating for TV, and they're just pushing the food around their plate. And they're starting to pick it up, and then it's seeing cuts, and it's like they never actually eat anything. The amount of food on the plate never changes. It's like, yeah, that's why they're 105 pounds, and they're in Hollywood. Anyway, Sarah Silverman, she's not funny. She had nice tits. And I understand that now. Like, all these 20-year-old girls were telling their boyfriends, like, you just just stop thinking with your dick a little bit. People tuned her in. She is funny, but she's club funny. Saturday Night Live special funny, which she actually worked for a year. And she wrote skits for a year, and not one of her skits got picked up for the show. But, you know, she's still contributing to the show, even if they don't pick up the skits. And after a year, they finally fired her. She realized, the thing is, you know, she's going to be someone who fails upwards, as Chelsea Handler did also. But Chelsea Handler was legitimately funny. The thing is, she's club funny, Saturday Night Live funny, which is not funny. It's people think it's funny. People thought like, oh, Saturday Night Live when I was a kid in the '80s or something, it was funny. It was never as funny as you remember it to be. It was always like the previous generation always thinking it was funny. You can go back, and I did, and watch some old Saturday Night Live on the high seas sites. It was very rarely funny, even with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd. It was always politically correct comedy. It was very rare for them to actually say something that was kind of edgy. It was always punching in one direction. Like for this whole history, it was always this very far left globalist kind of, I don't know. I don't want to call it blue blood exactly, but it was never what you think it was, and you can just simply go watch it and check it out. The thing is, you can go watch Jesus' Magic. That's online too. It was mediocre. What sold it was she had a rockin' body in 2005. Thin with big jugs go a long way in any industry, no matter where you are. And she also tells a lot of Istophobic jokes. Then when her audience has the audacity and temerity to laugh, in later interviews, she will be disgusted with her audience for laughing at the jokes that she wrote. It's the stuff she does is really manipulative. And she's got, like I say, like you got to see some interviews with her where she kind of takes off the mask. And she's honest about these things. Like, she doesn't like herself very much. She doesn't like white people a whole lot. She's got a lot going on. She's got a lot of issues. So her stand-up and everyone else's pre-2020 BLM riots would not fly today. Most of the material would not fly. The anti-Asian, African, disabled people stuff, none of that would fly. The anti-white, the anti-Christian stuff, that's A-OK. That's encouraged, which is kind of a self-own for Hollywood's part. And Hollywood, comics, all this movies and books, all this kind of entertainment has painted itself into this bizarre corner, especially problem for comedy, because it gives the punchline away where you know every joke is just Trump and European people and blonde people bad and the Germans, am I right, and Orange County, whatever. It's like, okay, well, you know, you've said that, and that was like from 2016. Those Trump jokes were old in 2016, really old, and they will not let it go. And like the Trump derangement syndrome hasn't gone away. The guy's out of office for a year. He's not coming back. His political career is done. Even people on the right don't want him back because he's too far left for the new right wing, which is way, way beyond Trump. Anyway, comedy won't survive this Bolshevik revolution. There's my prediction. I've been saying it for a while. If you do unpolitically correct stuff, you're going to get blacklisted. The Twitter mob will burn down people's careers without a second thought, and there's no structure in place to afford social media due process. Because social media is not a court. It causes damages as great as any court, any financial damages social media can impose on you. Well, it can destroy your career if you're in a public sphere, it can destroy your career as well as anything else could destroy your career. It's a combination of low IQ and mental illness, but it can absolutely paralyze an industry, and it's been doing it with Hollywood and the left's, big left wing consent for a long time. And this is what they want. This is what they get. They're painting themselves into a corner where they're delivering material that people don't want because it's just not funny. It's like every joke is the same punchline. And if it's not the same punchline, then they're left with something that's so vague and amorphous that the comedy is not delivered through the words and syntax with the intellectual punchline. It's delivered through physical gestures and inflections in tone of voice, where if you transcribed it, it wouldn't make sense as humor, but it's only because somebody's saying she's cute with a squeaky voice, and that's why it works. And then other than that, they go back to Blonde Man Bad, which is, you've been doing that more and more for a long time. So the only way to fight it is to go in the opposite direction. If you can, you start with politically incorrect comedy like the South Park and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia model. The thing is, South Park really has dialed it back to the point where it's kind of not worth watching. And It's Always Sunny went for 9 episodes. I think I don't know what episode they're on now, but they went for 9 episodes where they were hitting hard. And then after season 9, they stopped. They went so 9 years, and then they stopped being funny. Now they give a lecture on pronouns. Like, there was an episode, I went sailing and I tuned in on an episode, and like they give a lecture on pronouns. Like, these aren't the characters that you spent 15 years developing caring about pronouns. They absolutely, or half the characters would not care about pronouns. And then that would be the joke, is like half the characters cared and half the characters didn't get it and they didn't care. And they just gave a lecture on pronouns for like a 24-minute comedy show on TV. That's insane. That's insane that you think, I mean, you're losing market share, but it's like they're still selling advertising. They're still making money. They'll just continue telling jokes that are not funny to lecture the audience, and also virtue signal that they're sorry about all their prior episodes when every other episode was them in blackface or them doing something that was legitimately funny, but you also knew that they were punching in all directions, at themselves included, and that all ended in about season 9. The thing is, if you want to do that route, like, you need your own network or way to monetize it. Honestly, I think it's all over. I think America is just going to become these soft, butthurt pussies with censorship like the Europeans. Political correct stuff is not funny, so comedy in the mainstream is over. However, there is this growing alt community, alternative platforms that are allowing new areas for creation. No, Odysee is never going to be Saturday Night Live, at least not anytime soon, but you were never going to get hired by Saturday Night Live anyway. Getting blacklisted from an industry like that is not a threat. You are already blacklisted because you don't have the right connections, or you don't have the right body type, or whatever. You don't want to blow your way to the top. Anyway, so this split by the alt community and the mainstream grows more obvious. Owen Benjamin said, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago, he said maybe trans kids, maybe we should rethink this. Maybe we shouldn't hurry to sterilize children. He just retired. When he said that, it's like, okay, I just announced my retirement from Hollywood and got blacklisted, and have your agent drop you. You're either 100% on Sarah Silverman type's plantation, or you're blacklisted. To Silverman's credit, she is honest about a lot of stuff. She hates you. She hates most people. She's openly Islamophobic, but it doesn't matter because she says it in a silly voice, and she's skinny with a nice rack. Yeah, she hates Christians and Europeans. That's not a secret. She was open about that. But, like I said, her kind of time in Hollywood is over. I mean, she's like, once you hit 50, like that whole thing is over. Anyway, so she said some stupid things, and some preacher responded to her, called her what she was, she's a hateful, anti-white, anti-Christian person. And he pointed that out, and she tried to make light of it, but it's like she has so much damning background where she said the most racist things. It's like she's going to have she can't really, her own words can be presented in front of her, and it's like, you really are this person. So she told you who she is. She took off the mask. She legitimately hates you. Anyway, I hope this makes it for YouTube, but I suspect this will not. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on Odysee and Bit Chute.